Ryan Donato is back. 4 years, $16 million, and we're raising money for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America today, and we'll tell you how you can help next on CHGO Blackhawks. Happy Thursday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Steven's here with us today, running the show. We are glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk his
butt off.
Yeah. We're going to talk a lot about Ryan Donato's new contract. If you missed our emergency pod yesterday, we'll get well into that. And we are raising money for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. Yesterday, our listeners came through big time. Here's how we're going to do it today. We're going to make, the second half of the show we want to say?
Second half of the show.
We're going to make it an Ask Us Anything. Anyone who donates to Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. This is not a super chat.
Using the handshake fundraiser button.
Yes.
Use that one.
Use that. We will get your name on the back end. And then you can put, in your question on the chat, donated, question, and we'll verify you donated, and we'll get your question asked. So start stacking those up for the second half of the show. Ask us anything, hockey. Otherwise, we will answer them as long as we don't get ourselves or the company in any sort of legal trouble. Yeah, that's our one qualifier.
Within reason.
Yes, yeah. Within reason. If not, we'll dance around some stuff and let you read between the lines.
Sure.
But let's start with Ryan Donato. Back, 4-year deal. $16 million. That's a $4 million cap hit for him. Way less than we thought. Mm-hmm. It's been about 22 hours since that deal was announced.
Just about.
And I've yet to see anyone upset, which is news.
Yeah, it's nice when you get a deal that works for everybody, whether it's a trade, whether it's a contract. For this with Donato, I said it on the emergency pod. It's a perfect deal. 4 years, $4 million. It's a raise for him. It's stability for him to, be in Chicago. He's expressed that he likes being here, and he's been on 5 different teams in a 6-7 year career so far. So finally, he's got an opportunity to stick around. He's got a young family that he just at the beginning of last year had his first child. So it's just it's an ability to kind of plant yourself in Chicago, have that stability. Clearly, the Blackhawks wanted him to be around too. They wanted to make this deal happen, and it's worth it to have him around, and the benefits that he brings to the table, not only on the ice but in the locker room, as an example that the young guys can follow. It's really all around. I can't see any downside to it.
Well, it's also, we know they needed to find some help, and I don't know if bringing Donato back qualifies as help, but if he had somehow said, look, we're going to walk away, we're going to go explore the market, and we're going to move on, we want to find security in a better situation, whatever it might be, the Hawks have to then try to find another Ryan Donato on top of the other things they're trying to do this offseason, depending on who you listen to. If you listen to Scott Powers, they're not trying to do anything this offseason. If you listen to Frank Saravalli, they're very much trying to do a lot. So hopefully it's closer to Frank than Scott. But we'll see. You've got them locked up. If worse comes to worse, you can plug them into the top 6. And let's remember, the 2026 draft is absolutely stacked. It's not just Gavin McKenna. It is a very desirable draft class coming up next year. So if there's going to be another year where the Hawks are a lottery team, it might be this one. And look, I'm not trying to prepare anybody for a disappointing offseason or say you should be satisfied with that, but it might be how it goes.
Yeah, I think the way that I've been going back and forth on it between how you, like you said, how Frank Saravalli is saying, they might move number 3, and they're trying to be in on it, and they're going to make a splash and stuff like that. Being in on trades, and then Scott Powers, who I think is one of the most plugged in guys to the Blackhawks that there is, rarely wrong. He's kind of putting out there, don't get your hopes up for any, major free agents. It's unlikely that they're gonna, it's hard to make a big splash kind of trade. They're gonna be interested in it for sure, but still, it's hard to find the right deal. And Kyle Davidson has been expressing, the path to this team getting back to where it was, just 10, 15 years ago, is through that internal development. Like the rebuild process, Davidson's plan, he's put his name all over it, and now he wants to see those players start to grow into the players that you expect them to be, the guys that at the NHL level are going to, drive the ship forward. So it seems like if Donato being back is a big piece of the offseason, that's for sure. I think I was reserving myself to the idea of like, okay, what does the offseason look like knowing that Ryan Donato likely walks in free agency because someone's going to pay him $6 million or more or whatever. But now you get Donato back. It's just like, okay, let's like you look at the puzzle of what this season looks like, and having him there is a big piece of it. So it might alter a little bit of what they do in the offseason. And, I think we've been talking about, like, I really hope it doesn't come down to a Cam Ward, Chris Kunitz, here's our free agent signings kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But having Donato back already gives you, like, all right, that's a good piece of business for the offseason. It shouldn't be the biggest thing that they do. And
with Donato in the fold, the buyout window opens tomorrow, correct?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. We already feel like TJ Brody's going to be gone, bought out. A couple people have mentioned Joe Veleno as an option to be bought out, which is interesting to me because he doesn't make a ton of money. Joe Veleno makes $2.275. He's a restricted free agent after next season. But they must be planning on a lot of young guys starting and playing the entire season this year.
If they buy out Veleno, I don't think that that's money related. I don't think that that is a indictment of him. I think it's just we have no loyalty to you. You're in the way. We want, that fourth line spot that he's going to take up. We want that open and clear for Landon Slaggert or Colton Dock or Samuel Savoie or whoever. That roster spot almost seems like if they go that route with Veleno, which if they do, that's fine. That seems like that roster spot might be more valuable than anything he might bring to the table.
So if we're looking at the roster right now, you've got, these are the for sure's: Bertuzzi, Teravainen, Foligno, Dickinson, Mikheyev, Donato.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 1, 2, that's 6. Reichel 7.
Yeah.
Bedard 8. Nazar 9. Slagger 10. So there's 2 spots open theoretically, or 3 spots open on the roster theoretically. Now you've got Colton Dock. Feels like they might walk away from Athanasiou. We had good looks last year at Ryan Green towards the end, Oliver Moore towards the end. You had a great preseason from AJ Spellacy. Aiden Thompson turned pro. Nick Lardis is turning pro. So you've got some guys in the system, but are you comfortable, Mario, starting next season with Oliver Moore and Ryan Green as full-time NHL players? I don't know, like, the reason Nazar said it worked for him last year is because he didn't have to begin his pro career right away, aside from the stint he had last year.
In the NHL.
Got in Rockford, got comfortable, played half the season or a third of the season in Rockford, and then came up and the rest was history. I would find it very strange for Kyle Davidson now to say to guys that are, frankly, lesser prospects than Nazar was in Green and Moore.
Yeah.
That, hey, day one, you're in. It just doesn't feel like his style. So it feels like there are a couple things coming here. What there remains to be seen.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like his style to just throw guys into the fire like that. If he has the option. I know Korchinski was thrown into it as a rookie, but it was more beneficial for him than to stay in the WHL. With Green, I feel like he might be a guy that they just send right to the NHL because, conversations that surrounded him last summer was, well, the team thinks he's a guy that could be NHL ready, but it just didn't line up with what the team wanted, what he wanted at the time, for the opportunity to be there. But there were already talks of Ryan Green's probably a guy ready to jump to the pro game, and he played one more year of college. So that guy, so a player like that with Green, I feel like I'd be more comfortable with it because he had that extra year over maybe Oliver Moore in that specific scenario.
Sure.
But if they both were to start in Rockford, I wouldn't bat an eye at it. If they both start in the NHL, the preseason and training camp is going to be a preview of where some of these guys are at. And with Nazar last year, we were watching him through the preseason. It was flashes.
Yeah.
But did he
less than expected?
Yeah. He didn't have the wow kind of preseason that you would have hoped, or maybe to a lesser extent expected. But it's hard to expect that of the guy. I think it was just we were riding high off of his 3-game stint, but he didn't blow away the organization to start the season. So it was all right, there was a spot for you, but you're going to go to Rockford. And then he figured it out at that level and came up to the NHL. So what those guys do in the preseason is going to be an indication of where they're at. But I think either way I'd be comfortable. But I don't think Kyle Davidson is going to really, if they're going the route of we want all these spots open for young guys, I don't see him going and getting too many free agents that are going to be roadblocks, players that would just kind of be in the way, these, bottom six, Craig Smiths or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't see him doing that again.
That's the sort of stuff I don't want him to do. I think that's why it seems like when you hear from Saravalli, it sounds like if there's a move to be made, it's going to be an impactful move. Right. It's going to be someone that's going to be here for a long time, that's going to be a big piece of things, not just a kind of fill-in, time killer, space filler. At the same time, though, you do get worried about rushing guys a little bit and putting them in tough situations. But if your opening day roster is those names I listed, minus last year's Athanasiou, Kurashev, and Veleno to end the season, and you're doing Green, Moore, and maybe it's Savoie, maybe it's someone else, that's not a winning team. And you also have done nothing to help Connor Bedard.
Right. I mean, getting back Donato is...
It's your last year and year before.
Right, I know. But getting back Donato helps that in a small way. But I think, going out and getting somebody else who could be in your top 6, whether it's a free agent or a trade, that's another thing that needs... That is still should be on the checklist for the offseason. So we'll see. I mean, I think there's a difference between looking at what the opening night lineup could be or anything like that. If there are a lot of young guys, that's fine. There's still plenty of, I think there's still roster space for those young guys to be there, to play significant minutes, while also having someone, at least, one more person that you bring in that's helping that upper level of the lineup, and you wouldn't be blocking anybody. So I don't know. I'm preparing myself for something that feels underwhelming as far as an offseason goes, but at the same time, when the season was over, looking at where those young guys were, looking at where the direction of the team was going and everything, I think there is something to be said for looking at who is on the market, getting excited about that, especially with Mitch Marner and Nikolai Ehlers, players like that, Sam Bennett, the way he was playing. You watch those guys play while your team is done, knowing that they're going to go to the free agency market, knowing that there's an opportunity there with a Blackhawks team that can spend a lot of money, to get excited to be they should go out and spend a lot of money and do all of that and get these guys, when in reality, in April, I myself was just I want this team to be super young next year. So at the same time, like, I'm okay with it if that's the route that they're going to go. I just want to know that if it's like a swing and miss offseason, at least you swung. That's the thing for me, is at least you swung for something. The idea of just letting a Mitch Marner go without presenting him a contract offer, I think is I don't know. I don't like that idea.
All right, a little more on this, and we're going to get your Ask Us Anything questions going too. Remember, if you want to ask us anything, hit that donate icon on the bottom right of the chat. Put your name. Once you've done that, we'll see your name. Then in the chat, write donated, and then your question, and we'll get your question asked on the show.
Yeah, we do have a couple donors already.
Awesome.
Kat Klein donated $20.
Awesome.
And this real handsome guy, Jay Zawoski, donated $100.
I said I was waiting for payday, and I got payday. So there you go. It's done.
Beautiful.
So let's keep those donations coming, and we'll get your questions in as well. More on Donato in the offseason coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. What is Sunnyside, you ask? Well, Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. No need to worry. If you're inexperienced in the cannabis game, you're going to feel right at home at Sunnyside. You're going to get the experience you want. You're going to get the help you need to make an educated decision. And if you're an old vet, you're going to feel great there too, because they've got over 100 strains to choose from at Sunnyside, and they've got easy online ordering and in-store pickup. So do yourself a favor, get yourself some Good News and Mindy's. Those are my two favorite brands, or any of their other great brands. When you visit sunnyside.shop, you'll get Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders. And if you've used it before, use promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item.
And whatever the sport, the app to bet it is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. You can bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season, whether it's spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Stanley Cup Final is over. NBA Finals, are they over tonight? Oklahoma City with a 3-2 lead over Indiana. Game 6. I think it's in Indiana. Who do you got, Jay? All right. You can bet it with Circa Sports Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, you or someone you know can call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What's that number again, Mario?
1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, getting some donations, but we haven't gotten any questions yet. So if you want to get the question answered, hit that donate button, and we will do it. Ask us anything. This is your chance. On Mailbag Monday, we filter, we censor.
Yeah,
we do not have that option on a live show to censor your questions here. And come on, like PHLY, they're close to us. Philly's had enough success. All right, let's blow these bums out of the water.
If there's one thing Chicago can win, it's most donations.
Well, you guys, on Blackhawks, you set the single-day record for a single show yesterday. Well, that bar has been raised significantly. Bears raised $1,368 earlier today.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And as I'm saying that, I just saw we just got another donation, $5 from Curtis Bloomquist. And then during our break, we had a $10 donation from Jackie Parms.
Nice.
So throw some questions in there.
Great. Yeah, let's get the questions going.
We're getting up there.
And one question will inspire the rest. So once someone gets it asked, again, do it. We got your names in there. So once we see your name, we'll read your question.
There's Curtis.
There you go. We'll get you in a second here as we wrap up the off-season discussion. You just had a note for me during the break about Scott Powers and the RFAs.
Yeah, Scott Powers and Mark Lazarus put out.
I saw Scott Powers and the RFAs at Lollapalooza. They were really good.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He was the front man. Yeah, their off-season primer article today from The Athletic. Go check it out. Tons of details in there. One thing that was interesting, it says, as for the team's pending restricted free agents, Blackhawks are expected to qualify Louis Crevier, Wyatt Kaiser, and Arvid Soderblom, and are not expected to qualify others, including, most notably, Philip Kurashev. That doesn't really come as a surprise. The other RFAs that likely would be on the outside looking in at that point are Antti Sorella, who's been playing overseas, so that's not anything to worry about there. Aku Rate, who's already signed with a team overseas. Those are two Rockford guys. Jalen Lipin would be one that is going to be would be allowed to walk to free agency. He was a former 7th-round pick, played with Rockford. Good kid, but just, I don't know, just didn't seem like there was really much of a path there. But yeah, that's the rest of the RFA group. So really the only one that's of consequence to the NHL would be letting Philip Kurashev go. And I think at this point with him, it's I think we had seen enough. I think we had seen the track record. He had a big season and then completely fell off the cliff immediately.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like it wasn't up to what he did the year before. It was like he was getting scratched. He was a non-factor. And so it looks like he'll be heading out. But again, like that really doesn't open. That's like one NHL spot that's opening up.
That's
with
really
Kurashev
what's open
gone.
right now. I mean, if you assume that Doc's going to play, and if he's healthy, and you assume that, like you said, Ryan Green gets an NHL spot because of his
Probably.
deep, because of his age, there really is only one spot open. So, look, I'll just remind everybody, and I will try to do this throughout the offseason, especially if things don't go as we hope. The flat-out, no questions asked winner of last season's offseason was the Nashville Predators, who finished 14th in the Western Conference last year. So sometimes staying the course can be the way to go. Look, Kyle Davidson is patient. We have not seen him rush. The only one, again, as you mentioned, the only one he's rushed, air quotes, is Korchinski, but it was what's better for his development, Chicago or another year in Seattle? The answer is Chicago in a no-pressure year. Fine. But otherwise, he's been patient with guys. So if he feels that Ryan Green's ready and Colton Dock's ready for full-time and Oliver Moore is ready, they're going to have to show it. I'd rather have him say, oh, boy, we've got kids ready with no spots versus, oh, my God, we've got kids that are not ready and no one here to fill those spots for them.
Sure, yeah.
You can figure it out. You can figure things out if you have to. You got to make a trade. You got to make a trade. Fine, because you just can't possibly hold somebody down. Great. But I don't want to put these guys in situations where if they're not exactly ready and they're really struggling and their confidence is being shook, that Jeff Lashley doesn't have to say, sorry, you got to go out there anywhere because it's all we got.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
that's a concern.
I think you look at the lineup and you look at the guys that are going to be around. I think there's enough NHL experience in the forwards group specifically because the defensive group is Connor Murphy and the kids right now, which, I think when you have a group with Alex Vlasic and Rinzel and Lev Shinov, Korchinski, Del Mastro, Allen, Kaiser, those are all the guys that are going to be in that mix. Crevier. There's really no point if you're not getting a guy via trade or free agency as a defenseman that's going to be like top 4 and isn't going to be blocking anybody. There's no reason to bring anybody in my opinion. Like you already have 6 or 7 young players that are going to be in that group. Let them go. Let them ride defensively. But in the forwards group, I think you have enough experience and veterans to kind of insulate some of those younger guys and maybe protect them a little bit from that scenario where it's just like, well, we have to play these guys. Well, I mean, you're not in a situation where, if Oliver Moore's in the NHL, he's stuck in the top 6 or something like that. Like you have guys like Ilya Mikheyev and Foligno and Dickinson and Bertuzzi and Teravainen. Like you have those guys that, can play those roles and it'll be quote unquote fine. But I think what you want and what you kind of hope is that at least one of these young players breaks out and has a season where you look at him and you're like, the player has hit, hits the NHL running and is one of the is ready to be in that, like, I'm going to help drive this thing forward position. Bedard's there. Nazar's probably there. Is it Ryan Green that steps in and is just like, wow, he's a really good third-line center? Like, if that's the case, that's wonderful. Maybe Oliver Moore comes in and is a really good two-way speed guy, third-line guy. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for rookies to jump in and do that, but I think you have a lot of those players that could step up and play something like that, that if that's the case, then great. Then they start to move up the lineup and they knock guys back down into those positions that things start to kind of piece together how they're supposed to. Guys play in the lineup where they're supposed to.
The other thing, too, is we know Kyle Davidson is not, unlike his predecessor, just looking at the year in front of him and dealing with the year in front of him.
Right.
He's also looking at, look, is Nick Lardis NHL ready next year? Probably not. But a year in Rockford, maybe he's ready at the end of this year. So that's going to be a spot needed. Mm-hmm. You draft Martone or Higgins or Frondell. They're not NHL ready yet, but in a year or two, they're going to need an NHL roster spot because they're going to be NHL ready. Yeah. So he's got to look that way too, which is not fun right now, right? Because I think everyone is like, okay, last season ended on a good note. Everyone kind of felt good about things after the trade deadline, give or take a couple games here or there.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And yeah, you got these young guys, but like it almost feels like, come on, now is the time to strike. But Davidson does have to keep in mind, like, there's several good prospects coming in the next 2-3 years. Is Sprout 69 points out, Kanserov coming over too. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of talent coming in the forward group. It's unproven, but it's coming. And that's why I think if there's a move made, it's going to be one guy. I think if they're going to find a forward, it's going to be one, no questions asked, top 6 forward, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm good with that. If the offseason is they trade for J.J. Peterka or Jason Robertson or Mason Marchment or whoever it might be, fine. I can live with that. That is addressing a need. It is improving the team. It's making it more competitive while still allowing young players to earn spots on the team.
Yeah, it's not blocking them and making the entire lineup all veterans that, you say, oh, okay, go compete with these guys and take their spots from them. Honestly, I think you got into a situation last year where you had some players like that, and you look around the room and they start going, well, I'm here to have my job taken. Like that mentality, like mentally, that's going to deal with some guy.
Yeah.
That's going to be something for those guys to deal with. So I think if you have a guy come in knowing his role is to be, if it's a depth defenseman or a depth forward, if you know that their role is to be like in an insurance policy as like a 13th forward or 7th defenseman or something like that, if you have a guy like that, fine. But I think to your point, like I think the big move can't be Donato. I think the big move should be getting someone that's going to help you in your top 6. And if you do that, whilst also you've re-signed Donato, and you're putting that investment in the future, like that is a path forward. It's not the most exciting one, but I think using that as the path forward fits with what Kyle Davidson has blueprinted and followed that path. So I think there's a lot of, for me personally, there's a lot of like, I think come down happening from the Marner's available, Ehlers is available, Besser's available, all that stuff. And, kind of knowing and realizing like, okay, it's not the path that they're going to go. I still think like the swing is necessary. If a trade materializes for a Robertson or a Peterka, I'm in on it.
Yep, 100%. And they've got the assets needed to pull it off. All right, we're going to hit the break zone one more time. Again, get those donations in, get those questions in. We'll start answering them on the other side of this break. We are raising money for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America all day today, all week. So get those donations in. Today is the big push day, so we're going to bug you about it more often. But it's a great cause. You know that. Even $1. If everybody watching throws in $1, it helps out big time. So hit that like button. Get those donations in. We'll talk to you in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks.
Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is kicking off summer with a big savings event all month long. Come in today to shop the summer sales event and drive home with $10,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Or you can check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the right vehicle for you. Plus, with Ray's Price Promise, that lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Go see for yourself. You can visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their summer sales event going on all month long for $10,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And just like your favorite team needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. And Empire Today can help you get it with their flooring experts. They are dedicated flooring professionals, and they're focused only on flooring every single day. We've all been to those big box stores. You wander forever trying to find the right thing. Then you got to find an installer or you have to do it yourself. Nah, you don't need all that. Empire Today is your best bet for a new floor. They live and breathe flooring, and they'll be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space in your house because they bring the showroom right to you. With Empire Today, you get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard me correctly. A $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for more details. Alrighty, Steven, let's get an update on the donations and start getting some of these questions in.
Well, they've started pouring in now. Darren, $20 donation. Meeksta, $20 donation. Matt, $5.
Yeah.
Kevin Nystrom, $10. And
Love
we've got
that.
the questions ready to go with them.
Awesome job. Thank you, everybody.
Keep it going.
Let's get them going here.
Smash that donation goal that we had.
Yes. And the like button, too.
Yes. Hammer that.
All right, should we start with Meeksta? Meeksta.
That's exactly what I thought of.
I just killed her. All right, Meeksta says, Dallas has $50K left in cap space. What are your guys' predictions on how they manage? Just so everybody knows, by the way, Matt Duchene, 4 years, $4.5 million per year extension with the Stars today. So he's in the fold for the next 4 years. He's 34 years old, but that's a guy that just is content and happy and wants to stay and have a chance to win before he retires. So that's that. I think immediately with the buyout window opening, I think you're going to see Matthew Dumba bought out.
Yeah.
That'll save him about, what, like
Dumba
2.5 or something?
and Lyubushkin, I think they were both kind of in those conversations. It seems less likely that Jason Robertson is in trade discussions. I think I saw that report flying out there, but that Mason Marchment actually is in the trade market and available. That was Cam Robinson, our buddy from Elite Prospects that had that report. So they're going to have to move somebody,
right?
Whether it's Robertson, Marchment, or something out of the blue comes and Tyler Sagan's gone or something like that. Like they're going to have to move something because
that solves a big problem for them if they move Sagan.
Yeah, but then you're still losing a guy who's still serviceable. I know he's over. I know he's not up to his cap hit, but still, it's a guy that's going to help you once he's healthy. You also got to worry about Maverick Bourque. Like, if you run out of money, there's a very easy offer sheet target that teams are just going to throw offer sheets at, and knowing Dallas can't match it. So, I don't know. It's they're a team that you can pick from. They can't keep everybody. So
trade Mikko Rantanen back to the Blackhawks.
Yeah, he's on our books. Might as well have him on the roster.
Isn't there some rule they can't do that or something? Though?
Yeah, I forget the exact details of it.
It's got to be a calendar year or something.
Yeah.
When you absorb a contract. So, they've got some work to do for sure. They're not letting Wyatt Johnston go. Not Hintz. Rantanen just signed. Marchment, Robertson, all seem like options to go.
It's interesting.
Yeah. They got some work to do.
We'll see.
They will, though.
Good
Jim
luck,
Mill.
DLLS.
Yeah. All right, next one is from Curtis. Curtis says, "Who do you guys see as the next captain of the captain of the future?" Sorry, I can read.
You know, I think the easy answer, the one that seems, put all the dots together, it seems like Connor Bedard is going to be the guy. I think he's the face of your franchise. Right now he's the best player that you got, and he's the guy that a lot of the future hinges on. Not all of it, but a lot of the future hinges on his development and his success. And I think he's a guy that's had a leadership role before amongst his peers. I think he's someone that the organization, has used kind of to point to for the younger group and be like, this is the work ethic we're expecting out of you guys. Bedard's always there before practice, after practice, working on things, always in the lab, as they say. So I'm not going to be shocked if it's him, but as a lot of people have said in our chats on the days that he's been in this studio, Alex Vlasic is a guy that I think I wouldn't be shocked if when the dust settles on who's here and who's the leaders of this group, I wouldn't be shocked if Alex Vlasic is actually the guy that leads the locker room, because he's a guy that's been here for a few years. He can connect with the younger group and clearly can connect with the older group too. He made best friends with Alec Martinez last year. And I think he's a guy that, the younger players, when they first get to Chicago, are going to kind of maybe lean on a little bit, since he's been here for a little while. And, he's someone that the organization's already invested in. So I wouldn't be shocked if Vlasic truly is one of the leading voices in the room.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a guy who's been here a while, which is crazy considering how young he is, and is kind of the first of this next generation of Hawks. The demeanor is there, the respect is there, the quality of play is there. I do think it would lean towards Bedard just because, but it was never Patrick Kane.
Right.
Jonathan Toews was there. So part of me thinks that Bedard is just like, I don't need to see, I don't need more on me, I don't need more attention. He's always trying to be one of the guys.
Probably, yeah.
So I would like to give it to Alex Vlasic. And who knows, who's going to emerge in the next year or two. But if you had Vlasic captain with Nazar and Bedard as your alternates, and maybe Renzel.
I could see that being a leadership group.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I like that. All right, a couple more. I know we got several more of these Ask Us Anythings. Jackie Parms says, always feeling the void of hockey.
Hold on.
Oh.
Is Jackie Parms's
I believe it is Hulk
picture.
Hogan on Uma Thurman.
Is that Hulk Hogan on Uma Thurman from Pulp
Can't
Fiction?
see it, but underneath it says Hulk Fiction.
Hulk Fiction.
Okay. Nice.
Gotcha. That's going to haunt my nightmares.
Jackie just thanking us for filling the void. I think Jackie had another question somewhere in the chat as well.
Thank you for the fundraising donation.
There we go. With Donato signing at such a nice price, do you guys expect him to continue to play up and down the lineup like he did last year? And if not, do you guys anticipate him skating even more with Bedard on the top line and potentially a free agent signing like Ehlers? No, I think part of his value is his versatility. And I don't think anyone's under the illusion that Ryan Donato is a perennial 31-goal, 60-plus point player.
No, and I think he'd admit that too.
I think this season is an outlier, but if we're talking 2020, that seems more
20,
realistic.
Yeah, 20 goals. Yeah, I think that would be great for him to be a 20-goal scorer again this next season, because you didn't count on him having 30 last year, 31. But if you can say, okay, we saw the way that he played and those opportunities to play with Connor Bedard, he does complement Bedard, stylistically a decent amount, and he's a guy that, goes and retrieves pucks and plays winning hockey. Yeah, exactly, as Jeff Blashill would categorize it. And it's no one locks in lines for 82 games. So there's going to be some, mixing around. But I think, with the roster as it looks right now, unless they're getting somebody who is a no doubt top line player, I'm not going to be shocked if Ryan Donato gets the first opportunity out the gate to play with Bedard, to start the year.
I would, yeah. I mean, barring a major acquisition, I would think that's going to happen.
Yep.
Are you getting annoyed with our salutes?
Oh, I love it. You guys are so good about it. I've been doing the show for this is like the 3rd year now,
It's
right?
muscle memory now.
The problem is I do it when I'm not supposed to.
I do it at home.
I'll do it like in conversation. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it was like, yeah, it was a major. I was talking about my dad. Like, yeah, it was a major illness, and I went like,
Oh.
I just scratched
Played
my
it
head.
off.
I'm like,
Oh man.
Yeah.
I do it at home. I'll even like watching TV. I'm just like, yep.
it's a trigger. All right, Darren
trained.
says, could any of the young defensemen work as a forward? Put Louis Crevier in the Dustin Bufflin formation. Just go stand in front of the goalie.
I wouldn't hate the attempt. I think that would be fun to see. Sure. Yeah. So if you said Kevin Korchinski go be a forward, sure, he could figure it out. These guys aren't, oh, I don't have to skate backwards now. What do I do? Like defensemen, they'd be able to figure it out. I don't think that they're going to do that, but they could figure it out.
That is always a sign of a bad team to me.
You know who could make a really good forward? I feel like Levshinov would. Like being able to just kind of like not have to worry about defense and just go attack offensively. He's already a guy that's got a big frame and likes to, jump into the. He seems like a guy that if you said you're a forward now, he'd be like, all right,
Hey,
life goes
you know
on.
what? You play forwards at the point on the power play all the time. Why not throw a defenseman up front for the power play if he's got a great shot in tight or whatever it might be? Like,
Yeah.
get creative, man. But yes, I hope not.
Yeah, I don't think you need to do that. Who was it that was the Brookbank, right? Didn't Brookbank play forward?
Sheldon did play a little
Yeah.
bit of forward, yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. Not as much handsomer brother Wade. All right. Kat Klein says, hey, Jay and Mario, any chance we see a few player guest spots on the pod this summer? Well, we just had Dave Bolin 2 days ago.
You said Dave Bolin. We had Duncan Keith this summer.
Yeah, Luke, Alex Vlasic was
Alex
here.
Vlasic coming in was an out of the goodness of his heart, the future captain goodness of his heart. That was outside of what we had agreed with to begin the season with him. So that was cool. Beyond that,
I'm working on Donato. I did send an email last night.
cool.
Have not heard back.
That'd be fun.
They must be mad about something Hogue said yesterday.
Oh yeah, yeah. I blame it on Hogue. I won't say who, but there's a former Blackhawk that I think once we line it up will be coming on the show in July. So we got that lined up. Yeah, I mean, and you
Do I
never know.
about this?
I told you about it, just in passing though.
I probably just forgot.
There's nothing locked down yet, but yeah. So I mean, we're crafty.
Hey, we're always looking, by the way, because we got the draft next week and free agency, and then about 2 weeks of flapping gums about that, and then a whole lot of nothing.
It grinds
until the
to a
puck
halt.
drops.
Yeah.
So we'll be checking in with people for
Especially
sure,
with
yes.
prospect camp off ice. Like
Yeah.
usually that you might get an extra week into July with that stuff, but nope.
Whole lot of nothing.
Not
All
anymore.
right, Matt says, can you speak to how Donato's deal reflects on the culture of the Blackhawks and whether it shows free agents that the Hawks are a team where players want to be?
We talked about it on the emergency pod yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a signal Ryan Donato has to the rest of the league, right? Like, wow, look at that. He decided to stay in Chicago. Like, okay, well, got a fair deal, got term. Cool. It certainly doesn't hurt, though. When you see, like, and remember, Ryan Donato is from a hockey lineage. His dad played in the NHL.
He's not a nobody.
Right. Yeah. So to see a guy like that and a guy like Foligno bought in, and you saw the way that Pat Maroon and Alec Martinez were treated during their time here of like, hey, if you guys don't want to be traded, we're going to respect that, let you retire. We're going to throw you a little party when you retire.
Right.
Like all those sort of things. That stuff gets noticed. And the Hawks do have a good reputation around hockey. And I know people look at it right now and they say, they're losing, they're terrible, they can't win, and Bedard's a bust, and all these crazy thoughts that people have. But around the league, like, they understand better amenities, better nutrition, a huge scouting staff, great facilities, a great city to live in, junior hockey or hockey opportunities for the kids.
Right.
Like, there's so much that Chicago has to offer. So I think Chicago kind of sells itself. But, yeah, whenever you see a respected vet re-up or sign somewhere, I think it does get a little bit of attention.
I think especially, too, because Donato definitely – I feel very confident that he would have gotten more than $4 million on the open market.
I think so, too.
So when someone is, in theory, leaving money on the table with an opportunity to go to free agency and have a team pay you big money off a career year, and you decide to stick around, like, that's an indication that, things in Chicago are not what some outside narratives might paint them as. So it's a buy-in to the organization. I think for Donato to, he wanted some things personally, more money, stability, all that stuff, understandably. But the organization not only gets a good deal for Donato, but also gets that kind of like it's a little bit of a stamp of approval of what is being done. So I don't think it goes unnoticed around the league.
All right, next one comes from Darren. Says, do you think the Hawks' improvement will be linear, or will they suddenly make a large jump to playoff competitors? I do think that it will go from decent to what happened?
No, it's just my timeline is from 22 hours ago. Signed in Chicago.
Oh, something new.
Yeah,
It's Ryan Donato.
Okay, it's Ryan Donato.
He signed twice.
So, I got jump scared.
I do think that there could be a significant jump from where they are to a competitor, and I think depending on what happens this offseason, it could be next year if a bunch of kids make a jump, and if Renzel and Levshinov play like they played to end the season, if they come in and are the same kind of guys, and if Nazar elevates and Bedard gets better, and you're able to add somebody, like you could have, like we've said a lot, like they could be Utah was last year, like in the mix for a while, fade towards the end.
What Anaheim was,
right? Yeah, I think you see the Hawks make a jump like that for sure.
Yeah, I think we're seeing more and more evidence of Kyle Davidson's patience, but if on the ice, the guys that he puts in place make that jump, I think that's where it's going to come from for sure.
All right. Kevin says, you guys planning to come to Rockford this season? Be fun to have a couple of adult beverages. We try to get down there a couple times a year.
Yeah. Well, the AHL All-Star Weekend is in Rockford this year.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That'll be at least one trip for sure. Yeah, I mean, with travel and schedules lined up, an opportunity to get out to Rockford is always on the table for us. Just if they make the playoffs again, be out there for sure for that. But yeah, always like going out to Rockford.
All right, Nate says, Jay, are you going to either of the Murder by Death Chicago shows? Last tour ever? Yes, I'm going to the show on the 17th. So is Greg. Greg will be there too.
Nice.
So one of my favorite bands ever, Murder by Death. So if you like the music I like, I think a lot of people know that, check them out. But you're going to be bummed because they're having their farewell tour this summer.
Is this a real farewell tour, or is it?
No, they're not Kiss.
First of many.
This is a realistic final tour. They never had the commercial success that,
I've only heard about them through you.
Yeah,
Greg.
they're great. They're really, really great.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll be there. We'll be there July 17th. Can't wait.
Cool.
Meekstra with another one. I've been wondering this for a while. Martin Miziak has become a prospect under the radar, not talked about much. What do you guys see from him? He seems like he has serious potential.
Yeah. He's a guy that I think I expected more out of this year, but there's definitely still a lot there to like with him. He's got, desirable size as a forward. He's had some pretty good productive years in the OHL, and now we'll get an opportunity to take that next step and turn pro. And I think he's someone that fits that like two-way ability. He's got some good playmaking ability. He's got some good offensive ability. But he's felt more to me like a guy that's going to end up probably finding a role in your bottom 6 if it's at the NHL level, and a guy that could be a really good depth piece, someone that could pop in and score, score some points, but is more or less going to be a guy that you hope is reliable at both ends of the ice and gives you a solid effort night in and night out. There's a lot to like, that's for sure. And as the question says, like, there is a lot of potential there. I just don't think there has been a lot of jumping off the page consistency from him, but we'll see.
60 games with Erie, last season, 23 goals, 36 assists for 59 points. He is 6'2", 200 pounds, so a little bit of size. So we'll see. You're right. He is a little bit of an under-a-radar player, and that usually, when you see that, it usually is for a reason. There hasn't been, like you mentioned, the jump off the page, great season kind of thing from him. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, he's 20 years old. There's still growth to come. So
absolutely,
second-round pick, taking a little more time, so we'll see. I got one here from Michael. A donation says, as it's been stated on this show in the past, with seeing how this team does with just a new coaching staff, maybe that's what they're going for then, seeing what is needed for the future. So what Michael's saying is maybe the hockey ops staff understands that coaching has been an issue, and they feel like Jeff Flashel's staff is going to get that's significant improvement from the team.
That's a good point. Like, let the coaching staff and the guys that you're investing in have as much time together as possible to kind of figure out the path forward. That makes a lot of sense. I don't hate that philosophy. Still, talent is talent. Like, you still need some talent help. So I wouldn't be opposed to them getting somebody like that, even if it, and it goes along with fits the timeline. Like, if you're going to get somebody like a Robertson or a Paterka or Marco Rossi or whatever, those younger guys that are swirling in the trade rumors, those guys fit the timeline and they improve the team. Those are the guys that you would go for. So if you add a guy that's 23, 24, 25, that makes a lot more sense in that frame with putting those young players with this new coaching staff than it does a guy who's 30 or 31.
We've got about 8 minutes left in the show. You've still got an opportunity to donate. Are we anywhere close to the Bears show? Do we have any idea? No. How much do we need to catch the Bears?
We're doing pretty good. Probably like $1,000.
$1,000 in 8 minutes. We can do it. I believe someone out there has $1,000 in their couch cushions that they forgot about. Let's hit it. But let's just get
Ryan
close.
Donato, anybody?
Yeah,
Ryan Donato in the chat?
With your new bag.
Donato.
Get out of here. Vlasic, let's go. Get in the chat. We know you're watching. No, but anything you guys can donate. We're raising money all day and all week for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America, our new partner here at ALLCITY. Let's do it. Feed that donation. Even if you don't have a question, you want to chip in a few bucks, we'd really appreciate it. So please do that. And, throughout the day, if you're watching Cubs, you're watching Sox, whoever it might be, chip in where you can, when you can. It all helps. And frankly, we're raising money for a good cause, but we really just want to dunk on our colleagues.
Yeah, that's
the true motivation.
That's
sure, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they get some money, and that's great. Yeah, that's fine. But we really just want to posterize the other ALLCITY networks.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I know that's what motivates our listeners is beating the competition, because it doesn't happen in Chicago very often. So let's beat up on Philly a little bit.
This is what we can win.
They've had too much success lately. Let's rub it in their faces a little bit. All right. Donation question from Chris. He says, as a new hockey fan, I would love recommendations. I can't read that, Joey.
There we go. Recommendations
on.
Go back
to there we go.
There we go.
Some more in-depth strategies. Thank you.
Why
am I blanking on a strategy guide guy whose thing I bought? Systems.
Belfry?
No.
Belfry Hockey? Well, that's who I was going to say. Is somebody that Scott Powers has worked with and profiled before. I know they've got books out there that kind of break down the more of the X's and O's of hockey, and that's a really good, useful tool there. I think as far as going around the league and feeling like you learn a little bit each time he posts something, the hockey guy on YouTube is like, if you want digestible information for storylines around the league. Does a really good job of getting team specific for all 32 teams, which is very hard to do. But he's a guy that, like, if you want to know, a more wider range of what's going around the league. Like I've watched videos on him a bunch. The hockey guy is great, and of course, our
Jack
friend
Han is who I was thinking of.
Oh, Jack Han.
Jack
Okay.
Han.
Inside the coach's room with Steve Peters. I mean, there's a reason that since December we've continued to have
PD
on our show, because he is such a such a resource. So
it's something
check
I wish
him out
that
as well.
hockey coverage would do a little better, like the X's and O's stuff. We see it in the NFL. We see it in the NBA. Diagram breakdowns, like here's where this guy's supposed to be. Here's how this system works.
And
like,
don't do it through VR.
yeah,
ESPN.
Yeah. It's a cool concept, but it's also very distracting.
I don't need it.
Yeah, but PD's the best. Inside the coach's room is great.
Yeah.
And he'll get specific. Like, you can go back and find his breakdown of Levshinov and Renzel he did earlier this year, and it's outstanding. Like, showing you the good, the bad, everything. And then, of course, when you look at it we did one also on the slingshot power play on why a lot of teams do it, why it has success in other markets, and why it's not working in Chicago. But it'll show you, like, this is how it's supposed to look. Here's what the Hawks are doing wrong or right. Boom. PD is the best, absolute best. We should get him on soon. He owes us he's been so busy with the Cup final because he does video analysis for ESPN. He owes us a Mora Nazar episode.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we can hit that up after the draft
We got all off season.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, I got
all
one
right,
from
one more.
Daniel.
Daniel says, who might be signed at the end of the year and get a few games in this upcoming season? Lardis is the first one I thought of.
Well, Lardis
He's already signed, though.
Yeah, Lardis is going to be playing pro this year. I think Spellacy is a good a guy that we talk about last preseason, how he was one of the last cuts. He's going to be a guy I think once his season is done in the OHL, will be fascinating to see where they put him, what kind of opportunity they give him. A guy from college, again, it'll depend on how long his season goes. He's gone from North Dakota to Boston. But Sacha Boisvert, I think he's a guy that, again, if everything lines up with what the team wants, what he wants to do, a lot of these players now have more control over what they do from a much earlier point in their careers than they used to. But I think Boisvert, the development he's had has been really impressive. He had a really great freshman year at North Dakota, and he's taken a step up in programs going to Boston. So those are two guys that I think I would bet significantly on that they'd be towards the end of the year, some of those players that jump in.
All right. Great questions. Great show.
Did we get them all?
We appreciate it. Now, tomorrow is the final piece of Die Hard of Spirit Week is Die Hard Friday. So what we've done is we've gone into our handy-dandy Die Hards Only Discord and appealed to our diehards to program tomorrow's show. Come up with 4 topics, hockey or otherwise, that you want us to talk about, and we will do, 2 to 2:15, 1, 2:15 to 2:32, etc., etc. So go on the Discord, chime in. I know when the Discord works together, beautiful things happen.
Yes, it can.
So let's get these topics in for us, and in the meantime, what's our money at, Steven? 320. Well, the Universe Galaxy jumped into our chat. If you scroll up a little bit, it says, "How can I join your panel? If so, I'd like to bring up the topic that Michael Jordan fans are the worst fans of all time. It'll make the show good, and I've tested this topic on my page many times. $1,000 super chat. We'll give you
donation.
$1,000 donation to Big Brothers Big Sisters. We'll give you 5 minutes to make your argument on our show tomorrow."
Can Mark Carman be present for this argument?
Sure.
Yes.
That'll make it better.
Yes. There you go. Is that fair? $1,000?
Sure.
All right.
It's not my money.
Still time to donate. Hit that donation button. You don't have to do it only on our show. Any CHGO show.
Yep.
Do it. Let's beat Philly. Let's beat all of our other teams, all of our other cities in the All City Network, and let's get that $1,000 from Universe Galaxy so we can talk about Michael Jordan on the Blackhawks show. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 2 for CHGO Diehards Friday right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.